Here we go. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 10th meeting of the Litchfield Board of Selectmen. We just got done with a tour of the new fire station, what has been completed so far, and we completed our paperwork review. I will call the meeting to order and ask that we stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first order of business is going to be review and approval of consent items. The items of consent include the meeting minutes from August 27th. We have an accounts payable manifest September 4th of $787,366.35. 9/11/18 for $34.99. Payroll manifest 9/6 of $50,796.74 and 9/13 of $47,249.93. We have a junkyard permit. And we have a purchase order for fire portable radios and a mobile radio of $40,849.19. Before I go on, the accounts payable manifest is the September 4th one includes some of the payment for the new fire station construction. That's why it's elevated. Are there any items that members would like removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Weber. Seconded by Mr. Brunel. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 4-0-0. Are there any other items that members would like added to the agenda for this evening? Okay, we will note also the public input will occur no earlier than 6:30 p.m. And since we are in budget season, we will start off the night regular order of business, the 2019 budget review. And first up is Police Administration, Police Support Services. And we'd like to welcome Chief O'Brien and Captain Sargent to join us up here at the front. And
Good evening.
Good evening. And Mr. Brown, are you going to lead off?
No, I defer to the chief and captain. Well prepared to review the budget.
Gentlemen, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
$42.10. I guess we'll be starting 42.10.10.
Yes.
Okay.
You see an increase there. That's the captain's contract.
Okay.
We moved down to 111, and that is the PD officers. There's an increase there because of the additional police officer that from the Warren article.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Good about that.
Mm-hmm. 120 is the administrative assistant. That includes her raise from last year from the board. Uh, 125 PD special officers, that remains the same.
Okay.
There's no increase. PD wages overtime officers under 140, that went down $5,360.
Because you were able to add another
The other officer, we have, the problem now is we have one officer that's out on workers' comp. We have another officer that's in training. So depending on the turnout of both of those items, there was a downshift in the cost of overtime.
Okay.
We're hoping for more than that. Hopefully this coming up next year. If we go to 141, captain's overtime, that goes down $6,690. and that's in accordance with his contract that shows the call outs. So it'd just be based on his overtime for that, not any shift coverage. PD court under 144, there was a reduction of almost $6,000. What we did is we looked at the usage of the court overtime, and with the prosecutor, he's in his second year. He's just like Lonnie in his second, third, and fourth year. You'll see reduction in the overtime for the need of an officer because cases are pled out or negotiations are made in cases and stuff like that. So less of a need for officers. So we looked at the amount of usage per sergeants, corporal, master patrolman, and adjusted it according to that. The 149, which is a PD training, remain the same. That gives us all of our high liability training. And then our schedule of training that we do for the officers as they move through their careers. 150, witness fees, that stayed the same. 191, PD uniform allowance, that added one additional officer for the 13th officer. Community detail, we've seen a little bit of a hike in that. It was, I believe the year before it was around 8,000. We cut it down to 3,500. So we're seeing around 5,000 a year with that. And that covers the school dances. It covers any details that the road agent may have that he needs a police officer at, anything that's community related. PD health, dental, I'm sorry.
And I only ask this, I'm not advocating. Do you bill anything like at the school since they're a separate budget?
No, they changed, Mr. Hoke changed that a few years ago. Because the board, yes.
Made a decision, why are we cross-charging the same tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it in-house, it's a cost we got to incur anyway.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Sure. Troy does the health, dental, and long-term insurance. That's something that they figure out based on their costs.
Before that's back to that 2% we talked about last time.
I think we were carrying a 10% health insurance and then adjustments for, all the new hires. So we may have been projecting a family plan for new hire, came in at a single. So all the census is updated based on current, enrollment. And then we've just added a 10% increase for now for placeholder.
325, the prosecutor, that's his contract. 335, PD shredding, that stayed the same. 336, response team, that stayed the same. Telephone and data is the same. PD software, that went up $1,600. And the reason for that was there was a additional LexisNexis that we got that allows us to track people that are wanted. We actually had a case where we, actually, Ben, you could speak to this, where we had the U.S. Marshals involved.
Yeah, you might have seen this earlier back at the beginning of the summer. We had been investigating a sexual assault of a juvenile in town. And the biggest challenge in that investigation was locating the perpetrator. And we didn't have the necessary resources to be able to internally locate the subject while working with other agencies, which include the United States Marshal Services. We learned of this additional program through LexisNexis that allows us to track individuals. We can find out who their family members are, previous addresses, vehicles, bank accounts, liens, license statuses.
Providing more information to you.
Yes.
A ton of
Okay, that you wouldn't have had.
Correct.
Exactly. And afterwards, when we got the program and were able to do a trial run, had we had this, the chief plugged in the name and we knew, where the family was located, a couple addresses,
Some phone numbers. that he
phone
had.
numbers. So this will be a great resource for detectives and really for any investigation where we're looking to locate an individual.
If I could just interrupt 1 second, on 342, there is, I know Chief said it was only 16 something. The actual change is 1840, and that's because the IMC contract came in this afternoon. I put it in there.
Oh, okay.
That was
Okay.
one of the things I meant to say or talk to you when I was in there, but they work from a paper copy, so it's 994 compared to last year, which was
Okay, I was wondering what the difference was,
That's
but it
all the
wasn't,
difference is.
okay.
Yeah.
So it will be 1840.
no, it'll be nine. It'll be that's the difference.
Right.
1840, correct.
Okay, not the 1650.
Yep.
Right. Okay, thank you.
The next one is 349, which is a child advocacy center. This year we had 15 victims go to get interviewed there, and they asked for $2,500 for that. It's a great resource for us. It allows for less of a trauma on the child that's being interviewed. It's a one-time interview and that's it. Instead of the defense, the prosecution, county attorney, and anybody else that's involved in it.
Is that kind of like a CASA thing? Or,
No, the CASA is the court appointed.
Right.
Yeah, this is specially trained forensic investigators that do a forensics interview of a child. Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe last year we had 11 for Litchfield, and this year we had 15.
So it eliminates you just doing it once versus having a whole bunch
Absolutely,
of other people.
and they're trained and they're certified to do these type of interviews, and the courts accept that as
It minimizes the trauma. On the
absolutely,
child.
absolutely. PD dues, that is for Chiefs Association, and the cost of that, just some of those went up, so it's up $150. 610 PD supplies, that stayed the same. Community relations supplies stayed the same. 620 PD office supplies stayed the same. PD equipment maintenance repair stayed the same. Vehicle repairs and maintenance stayed the same. Books and periodicals stayed the same. 680 PD uniforms and accessories, that went up with the increase of the officer. Uh, 681 stayed the same. 740, there's a reduction of $8,313. Uh, 760, the cruiser purchase, there's an increase of $49,292. That's the additional cruiser. Last year we had the one car. This year we'll have
two.
yes. PD seminars and convention 811, that stayed the same. And that was it.
Questions from members of the board?
How's the new Tahoe working for you guys? Have you had it out? And
We have. We got the computer. John set the computer back up in it. We get that all up and running. We're actually noticing it's getting better gas mileage than the Explorer
oh, that's
by
good.
2. Yeah. So the Explorer is getting a little over 12. That's getting 14.
Wow.
Yeah. And we suspect just from
You have
talking
more room
to,
in there. It appeared to have a lot more room.
gosh, so much
Absolutely.
room. More
Look at the
room.
back of. You can see them backed up there.
Mm.
You can obviously pick the Tahoe out
Oh,
in the
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger.
And I my plan is we would get an additional year out of that car instead of trading it in at 3, trading in at 4. And I think we're going to get a better resale value as far as a trade-in on that than we would for the Explorer.
Really?
Some of the problems over the past couple of years with the Explorer, everybody knows the the sensors going off with the fumes getting inside the vehicles and stuff like that. So there was definitely some issues there. We definitely seen a lot of issues with repairs.
All right, gentlemen, any other questions for the police department? All right, well, thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, we've got support.
4210
Yep.
50. We'll
50.
go on to that now.
Okay. You want to handle that, Ben?
Be happy to, Chief. Appreciate it.
I did it to him last year.
I was just settling in. They don't even have to listen to me.
I take it this one's gonna be a bad one.
This is where you're going to see all the increases. So,
Oh,
It's his fault.
boy.
It's his fault.
so
Where'd that come from, Ben?
under the police support, line 110, the PD wages for dispatcher, you'll see a small increase, and that would be due to the step increase that the dispatchers would come based on their tenure of service. Our line 122, that's going to zero out. It'll be a reduction of 12,492. That was dispatch coverage. The dispatch coverage is now being covered by our full-time dispatchers. So that amount of money will transfer down to number 140, PD overtime for a dispatcher, and that would be the $12,000, $492, which would cover their vacation time and holiday request time that they'd have off during the year. Our 191, the uniform allowance, that remains the same. Again, that's per the union contract that they're members of. The 210, PD health insurance, 211, PD dental insurance. Again, Troy takes care of that, does an outstanding job. We appreciate that. Number 291, our PD uniforms and accessories. That's going to remain the same, and that's per their union contract. In our PD dispatch service contract, under line 345, that remains the same, and that's the coverage that we receive from the sheriff's department on the late night and weekends when we don't have a dispatcher in-house. And that takes care of our police support. And the chief's happy to answer any questions for you if you have any.
Well, now. Gentlemen, questions for under police support? Pretty straightforward. Hearing none.
Animal control.
Yes, we're
Yep.
going to go. Thank you.
Yes.
No, that's fine.
Was animal control.
That's way out. What number is that?
4414.
Now, there we go. Animal control. Are you going to stick Ben with that one too?
No, I'll take this one. There's absolutely zero increase in any line.
And I spent a lot of time on this.
He whittled it right down there.
I mean, I'm just incredibly impressed.
Record time.
Just full of good news.
Wow. Are there any questions from members of the board on animal control?
calls with the gray squirrels.
It's funny you say that because
No, they're all getting
Actually-
killed on the road.
good. All over
Ever
the
since
place.
I read that article, I see them everywhere. Smushed.
I saw the article in the paper too, and
Yeah.
it's just nuts.
I guess
101,
Fish and
yeah,
Game
that
had to
one.
put out a
Yeah.
reason why they had to put something
Yeah.
out.
Because it's going to be a cold winter.
Yeah, right.
Right.
101 going out towards Bedford then. Just in the spot from like where Macy's used to be out to 114, there were 6 of them, deceased. And I'm like, I would have never noticed that
Yeah.
before, but
Yeah.
now it's,
You see a ton of them out there.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions you have of us?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to vote for it later as the budget as a package.
We're gonna wait till the last meeting they have before it goes to budget committee. Hopefully we'll have health insurance numbers and stuff like
Right,
that.
just to make sure everything's current.
Maybe.
But thank you for.
Thank you very much.
Preparing, and thank you for presenting.
Sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
You too. Well, that was painless, huh? Okay. Chief Freitzel, welcome. Come on up to the front and join us for fire administration, health, ambulance, and code enforcement, and emergency management, and general government. I think you do.
What number is fire?
4.
Oh, shoot.
I used to know that. I'm gonna have to code over.
And before you get started, I just for the record, I don't want to correct Captain Sergeant, but Karen White does all the scenes in health insurance. I just give her direction and ask her to increase. So I know she's probably watching. I'm sure she got credit for that.
Hi, Karen.
All right.
Okay, 4220.
Thank you. Actually,
Is that what we're starting?
we can start wherever you would like, Mr. Chairman.
4210.
All right. Before we do that, though,
4220.10.
before we do that, just want to put it out there. Our closing house, we usually have an open house in the fall, but this year, since it's going to be our last at our current venue, we're kind of dubbing it our closing house. Will be Saturday, October 13th from 1 to 4 p.m. The usual venue. We'll have parking available at Griffin with shuttle bus service and so forth. So please take a moment to join us that day, and more information will be coming out. The fire truck parade, because I know that is like a big thing in town, will be the night before on Friday the 12th. And then we'll be starting at Griffin and working south to north. So. And we actually will be looping through Liberty Way, especially this year, to kind of make a drive-by of the new building. So, all right.
So that's the 13th?
Saturday, the 13th is open house, 1 to 4, and the fire truck parade is Friday night, the 12th. And that is actually the week of fire prevention. So, all right, 42, 20,
Brown, are you,
10.
Defer as well.
All righty. I'll just go down and kind of hit the key items, and if you have questions on anything else, by all means. 110, fire chief, contractual adjustments. 111, firefighter wages. That is based on adjustments that were done this year, longevity, so forth. Wages call firefighter. We have actually seen a pretty significant uptick on calls this year. We're currently on track to go pretty close to 750 calls for the year versus 625 to 640 the past couple years. So that is taking that into consideration, actually looking at the number of calls that were dispatched versus the calls that were handled by the duty crew or the on-call officer, and bumping that number up to about 680, I believe it was my 670 calls that are actually dispatched, and we are holding pretty steady at the 5 to 6 average firefighters per incident. So, so that there's a slight uptick there. Same with training. We're seeing actually a very, very good turnout at our trainings, in excess of 80% at most of our trainings. So that is reflected there, as well as adjustments made to the call firefighter wages, bumped the average hourly rate up by, I want to say it was like a quarter. So those are those adjustments there. Fire inspector added a few more hours with the amount of building that's been going on lately between the commercial stuff, our project, as well as some of the residential stuff that's gone up in the south end. We've seen an increase in the need for Steve to work some extra hours. So that basically increases it from 42 to 48 hours a year, and then is adjusted for the wage increase in July. Overtime firefighter, again, adjustments based upon wage adjustments in July. Overtime training, same thing, but I did add some hours because in tracking training hours, we're seeing trainings going a little bit longer than the historical 2 hours, and because of what we're doing is taking longer. So we're actually seeing across the board an average of a 3-hour training. So decrease in health insurance, thanks to Karen. Decrease in dental insurance, same reason. We had a slight increase in our Provident policy that the town carries on the members of the department. So that's that slight increase there. Dispatch service contract, again, based upon the increased call volume, that obviously necessitated an increase there. Pre-employment screenings, slight increase there based upon the cost of the individual components of the physicals increasing. Instructional services, again, just a increase in our contractual agreements with our third-party vendors. Electricity, significant increase here. Electricity, water, heat, obviously are going to be up. We're moving from a 5,000 square foot building to an 11,000 square foot. These are best estimates. What I did to come up with, numbers was reached out to Pelham and Milton, who have recently built fire stations, took their annual costs, divided it by their respective square footage, and then just took multiplied that number by our square footage. I really didn't have much of any other ideas or ways on how to truly come up with a number. So these numbers are obviously best estimate without having any kind of historical. I think next year we'll be in the building long enough, we'll be able to have a better tracking number. One of the things that we do need to keep in mind is that we have already sunk the 2 propane tanks in the ground over there. We have filled them. We have paid to fill them. The town is responsible for heat in the building during construction. So it's highly likely we will need to fill those tanks probably once more before the end of the year, based upon the construction schedule. So that's also not entirely factored in here because I didn't really realize that fully until earlier this week, or late last week. So that there is probably not a lot of fudge factor in the heating. But I don't assume as soon as the electricity we're on Eversource Power, that we'll be paying that bill too, as opposed to right now they're running off of generators. So
Now, do we pay for the electricity all the way up until?
Now it's on generator, but as soon as they have PSNH provide temporary service, they'll be responsible for it.
yeah.
Okay, so
So it's within the, it was one of that we kind of knew, but until we got to that point. So yeah, we're going to be paying for 2 buildings for, a couple of months at this point. So, and obviously we're going into the painting, sheetrocking, drywalling timeline at when temperatures are setting in. So they're going to have to maintain the heat in that building, pretty consistent through the several months coming. So, we may need to revisit that once we get an idea of where we're at, later this year. So that's electricity, heating, water. It's a best estimate. There was really no way to target it. I won't kid you. It was really throwing a dart at the wall. And so I just went with $100 a month. We don't have a current track record because we never had a meter put in when we connected. Penachuk never came in to set the meter. So we basically have not had a water bill for the 2-3 years we've had water. So I don't have any estimate now to say we're using X amount. So that is a very candid guesstimate.
Fill your tanker before you move.
We should fill from the hydrant.
Yeah, if we fill it from the hydrant, there's no cost. So that is something we're working out with Penachuk, that we do have a fill in the station that will not be on the meter. So because it'd be no different than if we went to a hydrant. So
Connect the building to a hydrant.
I don't think they'll agree to that, Steve. Sorry.
Have them put a point of
Which
entry
one
filter.
is it?
That's right.
Repairs and maintenance. We've held that line because again, we're going to have a much bigger building to maintain. It's not going to be so much repairs as it is maintenance, cleaning, so forth. We're going from one septic tank to 3 tanks that will need to be pumped on a regular basis. We'll have our septic tank, which I believe is a 2,000 gallon tank over here versus 1,000 where we are. We will have a biohazard tank, 1,000 gallon biohazard tank, which will need to be pumped. I'm guessing maybe once a year. I don't expect more than that. Maybe it's once every 16 or 18 months. Again, not knowing, it's hard telling. And then we have an oil water separator. And again, these are all required through code that will need to be pumped and maintained on a regular basis. And that just separates the oil and the water from the apparatus that comes off the apparatus when cleaned before it goes into the containment. So that number is up a little bit over what we are. And then while I don't expect to have any need for Plimo vent maintenance, the source air exhaust capture system, or the fire alarm or sprinkler systems, or the overhead doors next year, I did put them in as more a reminder for me at this point next year, but also so that we're in full disclosure, these are things that we're going to need to maintain. So we'll need to plug numbers into those for next year's budgeting purposes or 2020's budgeting purposes. But being that we're moving in after the first of the year, we shouldn't need to do them next year. Dues and subscriptions, slight increase there based on, again, increases that are beyond our control. General supplies, no change. Office supplies, slight uptick because we're going to need to redo letterhead envelopes and business cards and all that stuff with the new address. Equipment repair and maintenance, decrease in that, decrease slightly, well, 20,000. We had $30,000 for replacement of our rescue tools this year. Next on the list of major items we need is the airbag systems that again go on the rescue. So I've decreased it 20, but held 10 in there to replace the rescue airbags, which are probably close to 20 years old and beyond their life expectancy. Custodial and maintenance, again, slight increase there, again, based on the fact we're doubling the size of what we need to buy cleaning and maintenance supplies for. Uniforms and accessories, again, slight increase in costs. It seems like every time we buy uniforms, the prices just go up, and so slight increase there. And trying to start that dress uniform program for the call department. Protective clothing, again, a market increase in the cost of our protective clothing. Medical supplies, again, a slight increase. We're obviously with more calls, we're using more equipment, disposable equipment, as well as that those prices never seem to go down. So equipment purchase. Not sure where that. Oh, replacement of thermal imaging cameras. Again, that's going back to the original plan for so many a year. So that's that 5,000. Last year was cut from 9 to 5 or from 10 to 5, I think actually it was. And seminars and convention, cost of price increases on Fire Academy and EMT programs. That's those changes there. And that pretty much sums up the 45,370 increase proposed.
Gentlemen, questions for the chief?
So this budget actually includes the operation and maintenance of both buildings for next year?
New.
'Cause even when you move out, there's still going to be a cost to keep that building running. Where are we going to capture those?
Won't that
General
go
buildings?
to general government buildings at that point? Once the fire department, it should go.
Yeah, I didn't- Yeah,
But all
I-
we're going to be capturing is the minimal heat because it's going to become
Minimal
cold.
heat,
It's
minimal
going to become cold
electricity.
storage.
Storage, right?
yeah.
You're going to have some heat, you're going to have
I
some
don't think it'll
electricity.
be cold storage from January for 2019.
Well, until
So-
they vacate.
so- With once we move, our radio system is staying there till we work out the final plan on that. So there will be some electricity, obviously minimal heat unless we're going to truly winterize the building. But I would have a concern with that with radios there that I'm not sure how well they're going to operate in 0 or low temperatures.
Cut it down to 55.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can cut it down to 50, 55, and electricity is going to be the monthly charge and whatever the radios are and whatever usage if we go in. Don't pay for the water, so.
No,
I mean, they're their only option, so they would be there. So again, that's minimal. So, I mean, we can work on that and we'll have to.
I was just curious where we capture.
I didn't carry anything on that building, once we were out, and quite honestly, didn't make any adjustments in general buildings.
I would
So,
assume whatever the operating cost of that building is, cut it in half for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so when we hit,
We did an exercise last year, actually.
Yeah.
Finding this spreadsheet.
yeah, so we'll need to adjust because we haven't done that when I present here in a minute, general buildings. So we'll need to adjust that. That's a good point.
As a note, I'm just concerned and I'm just saying this because it could potentially happen. If we turn the heat down too low and the buildings, we know it's not perfect. And if the cold draft starts happening, we just want to watch the plumbing. If we turn the heat down too low,
Yeah.
I don't know, that could be a problem.
Yeah, we don't need to keep it at 65, 68.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can 55 and monitor it and
Yeah.
so forth. So,
I can just picture a pipe on an exterior wall or close to an exterior wall having problems if there's a draft there or something.
that's where the line comes in, I guess. Yeah, it's outside south wall. So, but
And, yeah, and all the propane estimates right now, we've not received the fixed cost yet from the school. So I'm sure they'll be getting that bid soon.
yeah, we just
We
paid,
have the school's
we-
propane.
I think 134
That was last year.
to fill these two tanks. So,
Any other questions for fire? Okay, let's move on to health, 4411.10. Another complicated one here.
slight increase in health officer association dues. Since we've added some deputy health officers, I think it's important they get involved and have the ability to attend some training and so forth. So that's the $150 difference. Association dues and increase in training funds.
Any questions on health?
Nope.
No? Okay, now we head to ambulance,
Way back.
which is 4215.
Okay, so I'll discuss that one. Currently, right now, we've not received that third quarter ambulance bill for actual service charges. So I'm still carrying the same amount as last year, $57,500. What happens is we usually find out in the third quarter billing how much of an increase we'll see based on the new adjustment to their annual budget, because Hudson operates on a July to June budget. So the way the contract's written, real simple terms, they take their operating budget and there's a formula where it's all based on the number of calls. So it's a percentage, it's worked out based on the operating budget. As you can see, I brought some on the side there in the notes. We have historical costs. I'm pretty confident that this 57.5 will probably still work again for 2019. But I do have a meeting this week, and I'll be talking to Chief Buxton about that. So the next line item, bad debt, we're traditionally carrying about $10,000 a year and these funds are raised and they're put into the revolving fund to cover all those uncollected fees. So we, as you know, when Hudson responds to a call, they bill out the patient. If they do not collect the funds, we're responsible to pay that bill. They reduce the bill to what the Medicare cost would be. So we pay a reduced rate. Then we turn it over to our collection agency. But this is the money where we try to keep the revolving fund healthy so that we can pay the town of Hudson for their uncollected fees.
So we basically clearing out debt with Hudson on this one.
Right, and as you've seen, the past 2 years, we've written off bad debt. So we work with the auditors every year. They'll take a look at this, and I think their rule of thumb now is pretty much that we carry no more than the past 6 years, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, 6 years. So we keep it on our books for 6 years. If we haven't collected it by then, we write it off. It's still held with the collection agency. They still try to pursue it, but we'll take it off our books.
But you're asking for a 5,000, this was reduced by the budget.
Last year, I believe the budget committee reduced it last year.
And what do we pay out for bad debt this
So-
past year, or this year?
Well, we're currently right now, the fund has $22,000 in it. But we have, I know we're gonna have a big chunk of bills coming in this fall. There was another issue with Comstar, and we're gonna be discussing that this week over in Hudson with the fire chief, and I think a Comstar representative is gonna be there.
Okay.
So you're gonna see that, I think we're gonna see that the $22,000 balance in the revolving fund is gonna probably be reduced by about $15,000. That's my guess.
Any other questions on ambulance? Okay, 424120, code enforcement.
Sorry, I was doing the math on the fire station. Slight decrease in salary.
The health insurance and dental is the big jump here because we're carrying the positions vacant, and we're carrying a family plan for health and dental.
Mhm.
That's why you see the big jump.
Okay.
Printing again, some reduction, but there will need to be some changes in addressing and so forth. We dropped the NFPA dues because we don't need both agencies carrying the dues. We get the discount no matter who orders it. So by having the membership. And the other change is adding uniforms. We went to uniforms for the code inspector during the after the changeover, but it wasn't a budgeted item, so it's adding uniforms for the position once we fill it.
Questions on 424120? Okay, then on to emergency management, 4290.10.
The only change there is actually adding the 630 line. We have historically carried the cost of the generator, emergency management generator maintenance. So the mobile generator that's at the high school, we've just kind of paid for it out of the fire department budget. So we've created the line within because that's where it truly should be. There's never been a line. We've just kind of eaten the cost of it within the fire budget. But I think, it should have its own line. It is specific to emergency management. So that's the only change there. So there's no decrease correspondingly on the fire side because it was never really, it was there in text, but not in cost. So, and we've actually put all 3 generators under contract with the same maintenance company, which has saved us a little bit of money. And they do twice a year maintenance on the one here, fire station, the mobile one, and then we'll use them for the new station generator as well. So.
What is being spec'd out for the new station?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 100 kW to do the whole building.
Propane or
Yes, propane fired,
propane?
off the tanks. Yeah. It's 85 or 100. I don't remember what we ended up going with to do the whole building.
All right, any questions on emergency management? Chief, do you have any questions for us? Great. Are you all set, Troy? Great. Thank you very
you
much
wanna
for
do
coming in.
general
Thank you for the
buildings?
tour.
General building?
Oh,
General
is that going to
buildings?
go under?
Well, we kind of,
A mixture, so.
yeah.
And 419410, let's go with it.
I just, as we were talking, did the math based on what we have budgeted for the last couple of years for the fire station. If we just reduce electricity and heat in half, it would be $3,000 an additional 3,000. And I'm thinking, because you have it broken out by building here, we'd want to do that, Troy, or add lines or just add it to
Probably,
the town hall, police
yeah,
station.
because I have that spreadsheet. I'll probably go in and add it to
Add
the
it.
spreadsheet.
So it would be
Committee's gonna
it would be 3,000 additional for the fire station for the year and 1,500 for heat. And that's just rough number, taking half of what we're currently paying. I think it might be a little less than that, but I wouldn't want to, put it too low. And yeah,
You know, you're gonna be coming and going.
we're not sure how far into the year we're going. So, obviously the further into the year we go, the less it's going to impact the general buildings. But if we're out of there, in the first couple months of the year, that's 10 months of the year that it would fall under this. So, I that would be my, without any, at least for the first year. And then again, we'll have a historical next year to give us a rough idea of what it's going to cost. So I think beyond that, you had a slight decrease in town hall electricity.
Yeah, for whatever reason, when I was taking a look at the 3-year average and the run rate, it looks like 15.5 is a good number for electricity here at the town office, police station. The large increase that you see down line number 635 is gasoline. And I've been talking to the board about this, but I've kept the estimated usage at 18,500 gallons. We have carried $2.25 a gallon as the estimated cost for the past, I think, 3 years. And I think we need to make sure we jump that up to $2.50 a gallon this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's
Yes. Any questions on general government buildings?
And then it'd be adding 4,500 to it. So I come up with a 101,699. If my math is right. Quick math here. So.
Okay. Questions? Questions of us? Troy, are
Thank
you
you
all
for coming
set?
on the tour.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So we're
for-
moving right along and things are going very well.
Yeah.
See
Going
some,
too well.
some shingles on that roof pretty quick and some siding going up. I would say within a month, we'll see some color and
Good.
shingles. So
Thank you very much, Troy.
thank you.
Okay, on to reports and other business. Seeing no members of the public here for public input, I won't even entertain opening it,
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you guys.
thank you.
and we'll go on to reports and other business. Administrator report, Troy.
All right, just I'll send out a reminder to the board every day, but I've got a busy week this week. Doesn't normally happen like this, but we've got meetings throughout the week. So tomorrow, we've got elections, so that's going on all day. Hopefully, I arrive with the coffee on time. Struggle with that.
Do we have coverage? We all set? I'll be there
Um,
6:30, 20 of 7 till 3.
You've got from 6:30 to 3:30,
Yep.
and you were pretty much good, right?
For daytime, maybe, unless you need somebody for
Daytime.
the evening.
Then I don't know
yeah.
what we're doing for closing.
Well, if you want me to close and have him stay, I don't know what everybody else got.
So for the first time in 9 years, I have a conflict with the election.
What? Oh my God! Wow.
Believe it or not, it's one of those things I can't get. I had it
You're all
booked.
day.
I had it booked, but
Yeah,
I've
but
been,
you put your time in.
yeah, well, whatever. But
God, you-
so I don't think I'll even make it there in time for the close. But I will come there after I get done with my meeting.
yeah, if someone could come after 3:30, because I
Yeah, I can do that.
I can
I'll
do
that instead.
that, and then
It won't
Cat
happen
did-
again.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I get it. But here's
I
the thing.
understand.
Here's the thing
I got an
though.
obligation plus mine.
Yeah.
I have a rec commission meeting and I got to leave by like 7:15. Is that not good or how does that work?
Let's see what Terry said. I don't know. I think we'll be all set.
She's usually pretty
Maybe
good.
we can sign things. Let's check with her.
I'll have to check
Tomorrow.
and see.
I can do the afternoon. if you want me to.
I will do my best to get here at the end to sign if that's the case. But I just can't, I know I won't be able to be here throughout the day. Or best case, I'll be here by 8:00.
I may be back in the city, but it won't be until after 8. I know it won't be
I
till
mean, I
after
could miss
8.
the rec meeting if I had
30.
to.
Yeah, you can.
You
miss
might,
it.
you might have to.
I mean, it's more important for the voting. So
Yeah.
I could probably fit in something in the
You-
late afternoon for a couple hours if need be.
Well, we'll figure it out tomorrow then. All
right, well, I'll be there bright and
Might need
early,
to have
so-
two people at closing.
Yeah.
Not sure.
How close?
I can certainly meet her to sign paperwork, but if that's the case, I'll do that. But
Maybe
Okay.
put an agenda out for the rec. I don't even know if there's a lot going on, so I'm not.
do they have agendas?
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
Do they have agendas?
They do now, believe it or not. Keeps me from wandering around.
So tomorrow, I'll be at the polls the first of the morning, usually deliver the coffee and donuts. And then at 10 o'clock, I'll be over at the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. And we'll be discussing the bid results of our electric provider, which is, we only received one response. And it's the same vendor that's been providing the electricity to several towns and schools that are members of the NRPC. So we'll have to find out what the estimated cost will be there. And in the afternoon, I'm going to be meeting with an Eagle Scout along with Captain Sargent and Paul Kelly from the fire department. The Eagle Scout's looking at doing a project somewhere here on site. He's going to talk to us about it. It's going to be a memorial for police and fire.
Oh, nice.
Some, I don't know the specifics, but it's something to do with police and fire. So,
Okay.
so we'll hear about that proposal tomorrow at 3. And then Wednesday, all day, I am attending the New Hampshire Municipal Association Budget Workshop. I don't attend this every year. I like to do it like every 3 years just to stay current. I've asked Karen to attend that with me, and I've also asked Heather, the bookkeeper, to attend because I really wanted her to start to understand what goes on with the laws and a little bit more about municipal budgeting. And Thursday, National Regional Planning Commission Stormwater meeting at 1 o'clock. And then on Friday at 1:30, I'll be meeting over in Hudson with the ambulance committee that they have. So,
Okay,
I'll
Troy,
be in and out all week, but I'll send you emails so you know.
on Friday, now, did you get the voter delegate card for the legislative
Yes.
policy conference? So you won't be able to go, right?
Right.
All right, can you
You want that?
give me that card?
Okay.
The NHMA will be we'll be having the legislative policy conference. They do it every other year. And the policy that we sent up concerning the moderators being able to
Oh,
determine,
Yeah.
so that will be heard that day. I am moderating the meeting, and I believe I can vote for the town's interest if I have the delegate card, even though I'm chairing the meeting. But so they will hear that and hopefully send it on to the legislature as a support item. I know they will, because that was one of the big issues the NHMA worked on last year anyway. But all right, if you could get me
I'll get
that card.
So that's Friday?
Yep.
That meeting.
Friday the 14th, 9 o'clock in the morning. If any of you are up in Concord and wish to sit in on that, you're certainly welcome.
Troy, you still gonna be able to meet the electrician in the morning? The electrician in the morning? Oh, yes, he's gonna be here. What time? 8 o'clock, right?
You said it'd be here at 8 o'clock with a button, but
So I'll be here by 8.
I told the chief what needs to go on there. I'll show you tonight,
Okay.
and then you can obviously take care of the one in Jones' office.
Yeah. And just want to make you aware, I'm not sure if you folks have received the information or not. I got to get it out there and post on Facebook. But PSNH is going to be doing, instead of, they're going to be experimenting or actually conducting a lot of their line inspections with drones.
Sweet.
So, I think that's a good thing because, residents get a little.
Yeah, the
they have a lot of
helicopter's a
questions
little
when
loud.
that helicopter's going
Now
all
they'll
day
hear a
long.
buzz.
Wow.
But now, I was thinking about it, you're going to have these drones. And I think the residents are going to,
Freak out.
yeah, they're going to start seeing this drone everywhere. And so just wanted to make you aware that that inspection work has started and we're going to start seeing more activity.
But they're flying the drones at like 150 feet to do the wires, which is good because you can't
Yes.
throw things at them.
I think it's more, it'll be less noise. The helicopter's
Yeah.
loud,
Well, it depends what size drone it is, though.
but
Yeah, that's true.
But
And
it'll be less noise.
what I understand, say if someone, you said throwing things at it, if someone goes to vandalize a drone in flight, it's a federal offense.
Oh, really?
because it's tampering with an aircraft. It's, they consider it an aircraft. And I believe, I read, that's a federal offense.
So I was gonna throw us a helicopter.
Well, same thing. Got a better,
Shot at the drone.
in any event, you,
Okay, so, and the last thing is, we've agreed to meet on October 1st, meet with the auditors at 6:00. And I just throw this out here, I've spoke to Pretty Flaherty, our legal counsel handling the St. Gobain issue. And they could be down here and meet with us at 5:00 on October 1st as well. So, not sure if that works for your schedules. I'm just thinking that we
do need to meet with
we
them.
need to meet with them, and I think we need more than a half an hour. We know we could start at 5:30, but I think we really need an hour with them.
I'm all set. If I-
I'm fine with that.
Do it.
Okay, I'll confirm with them, and then that way we'll get that meeting over with, and we'll meet with the auditors, and then the meeting prior to that will be finalizing our budget
Is that without
with the
warrants,
best
too?
numbers we've got.
With the warrants also?
Yeah, well, we'll
Get close.
get close. Yeah.
I have my warrants right.
Okay.
I will investment.
Okay. Selectmen reports. Anybody?
Nothing from the planning board. We canceled the last meeting due to the Labor Day holiday.
Okay. Mr. Brunel?
Nothing from the budget committee or any other action.
Okay, I have nothing. Mr. Schaefer?
No, we have a rec commission meeting tomorrow night.
Excellent. Okay, there were no items removed from consent. There is no other business. The next meeting will be Monday, September 24th. And I will entertain a motion to go into non-public session at this point under our RSA 91A:3 2A compensation. And just to notify everyone, we will only come out of non-public to adjourn. So when we leave the meeting tonight, we'll say thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all September 24th. So Mr. Brunel has moved that we go into non-public session under the article that I spoke of.
I second it.
Seconded by Mr. Schaefer. Roll call. Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Brunel?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, roll call vote, 400. We are now going into non-public session. Thank you all. There we go. All set?
Holding my breath.
Thank you. Deb, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, yes, that would be a great.
Just to let you guys know, the meeting of the 24th, I'm starting a new job, and I'm probably going to have to fly out to California that week. So,
Congratulations.
thanks. I haven't got the official offer, but we're kind of laying out the travel plans and everything.
Which direction did you take?
Finance company.
There you
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
good for you.
better,
Oh, great.
more reliable.
Yeah.
I had two options. I was going for the general manager of a baseball team or finance company.
Everybody always needs financing.
Yeah, financing is better than the unpredictable game of
Good
baseball.
for you. So you shutting down your other business?
Yep. Yeah,